What is up people, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Hogwarts Legacy and the potential for a live service Hogwarts Legacy 2. JB Perret, the CEO of Global Streaming and Games for Warner Bros, recently spoke at a Morgan Stanley conference and said the following. So rather than launching a kind of one and done console game, how do we develop a game around, for example, Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter that is a live service where people can come today and live and work and build and play in that world on an ongoing basis. So this stirred up quite the hornet's nest, to the point that people have created a petition called Stop Hogwarts Legacy 2 from being a live service, which I will link in the description for anybody that's interested in signing. But to understand why people are so upset at the idea of a live service Hogwarts Legacy 2, we first need to understand what exactly a live service game is and why is it such a bad thing. A live service game is one that is regularly updated with content. Now you may be thinking that this sounds quite nice, especially with the lack of updates for Hogwarts Legacy, other than the obscure DLC coming in the summer nearly a year and a half after the game's release. Now if implemented almost perfectly, live service games can be great. Theoretically, the game should be cheaper if not free to play, meaning a lower barrier to entry for those who want to play it. Alongside this, however, comes microtransactions in the forms of skins, loot boxes, events, missions and battle passes. Once again though, theoretically, if done correctly, this doesn't have to be a bad thing. Players have an option, and I'll say it one more time, an option to divulge in any of these monetized extras, which should not hamper their ability to play the game. For example, pay to win, or pay to not spend your whole life playing the game to get anywhere. Meanwhile, the game produces a consistent stream of revenue long after its initial release. Unfortunately, for every good example of a live service game like Fortnite or even more recently Helldivers 2, there are multiple failures such as Marvel's Avengers, Evolve, Babylon's Fall, Skull and Bones and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the most interesting one of all as it's also published by Warner Bros. It's also a single player game, and I feel like that is particularly important. A lot of people would argue that live service is essential to keeping on the lights of a multiplayer game, and it's kinda hard to disagree. I have thought though that live service in a single player game is almost comparable to going to the movies. You can imagine a movie comes out that you want to go and see. You buy a ticket, a one-time purchase with the expectation to see a great story unfold from start to finish, and once it's done, it's done. But now imagine, as you're in the middle of your movie, having quite a pleasant time, either with a lover or a friend, having a strawberry Fanta, large popcorn, peanut M&Ms and Sour Patch Kids. The projector suddenly stops and someone working in the cinema approaches you and asks that you pay a quarter of the price of your original ticket to finish the movie. That's my best summary, albeit a little bit weird, of live service in a single player game and why it upsets so many people. It turns what should be a solid start to finish experience right out of the box, which by the way can still last tens of hundreds of hours, into a half-arsed game upon release, which purposely holds back or locks away content which should already be included, with the intention of preying on that fear of missing out thought, forcing people to spend extra money on a game, creating that never-ending stream of revenue that the companies so desire. What's so interesting though about this development of a live service Hogwarts Legacy is that Warner Bros has the data in front of them to show why this is such a bad idea. JB Perret is once again quoted as saying, "The challenge we've had is that our business historically there has been very AAA console based, and so, as you know, that's a great business when you have a hit like Harry Potter. It makes the year look amazing, and then when you don't have a release, or unfortunately we also have disappointments, we just released Suicide Squad this quarter which was not as strong, it just makes it very volatile." I think we're kind of telling porkies and handing out excuses at this point, but anyway, you haven't Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a game which is ultimately a failure, riddled with shitty monetization tactics, has sales so bad that the amount has not been publicly released, is on sale a month after release for nearly half of its initial price, and has had an all-time peak of 13,500 players, all while being live service. In comparison then, you have Hogwarts Legacy, which granted has a massive IP to pull from, sold 22 million copies, generating 1 billion in general sales revenue, earning the title of best-selling game for 2023, the first time, I might also add, since 2009 that a game other than Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty has done so, all while having a concurrent player count to this day more similar to Kill the Justice League's all-time player count, while avoiding the live service model of microtransactional traps, while sticking to that traditional single-player immersive campaign experience that we all know and love. All of this information will have you asking the question, why would Warner Bros. Look at this amazing game they've created in Hogwarts Legacy that has generated them all of this money and turn their back on it just to double down on a live service model despite the obvious failures of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Is it self-sabotage? Do they just not understand what people want? It's quite simple actually, and it all comes down to one thing, and that is greed. It's as simple as that. Despite the fact that Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling game of 2023, despite the fact it made $1 billion in sales, despite the fact that a sequel could do as well if not better with a relatively similar story and a few tweaks and upgrades, and despite the fact that live service games in today's gaming era that are successful are few and far in between, none of it is enough to turn the heads of any greedy executives who see the billions of dollars that games like Fortnite pull in yearly and think that it's as simple as putting a live service model and a powerful IP together for an infinite ultimate money glitch. But it's just not that simple. In fact, the route Warner Bros. Is so dead set on going down is exactly opposite to what makes games like Helldivers 2 so successful. There you have a CEO that interacts with the community, developers that listen to complaints, all the way down to funny little memes that the player base has created and plays alongside them, a game with a lower price point alongside microtransactions that don't hinder the enjoyment of the game whatsoever. All of this to say that this is a terrible decision. If it's not broke, don't fix it, we all know that saying. The fact that Warner Bros. Is willing to potentially destroy its best IP, which has already proven itself, for the 1% chance it turns into the golden money-making machine that they so desperately need and desire, shows that there's really no limit to the amount of greed that these companies have. I mean, it's just madness. In my opinion, all they need to do to guarantee another potential best-selling game of the year with similar if not better sales than Hogwarts Legacy is make Hogwarts Legacy 2 ready to go out of the box with another solid storyline, one that potentially leans into Sebastian more, along with Diagon and Nocturne Alley as explorable areas and a more interactive world. Then you're basically there. Maybe Quidditch, maybe a co-op or a morality system, but you're basically there, I'm telling you. It's crazy to think that everyone else can see the absolute diamond Warner Bros. Have with the Harry Potter IP, something that holds such a special place in people's hearts 20 plus years later, to the point that Miriam Margolyes or Professor Sprout was recently saying that people should move on. Now I don't think that they should, and they won't, and Warner Bros. Sadly understand that too, and they think ultimately that they can take advantage of people's love for the immersive experience that Hogwarts Legacy provides. With all that said and done, is there anything you or me can actually do to stop this live service game from happening? As much as I love the idea of a petition, you can't change anything if you complain but then still buy the product. Lowering the sales for any sequel to come, or a game that Warner Bros. Publish for that matter, would be the only way to send a message to a company that only cares about profit, even if it means the potential death of a beloved IP like Harry Potter. It might be the only thing that can change this insistent approach to the live service model. So sign your petitions, boycott Hogwarts Legacy 2 or Harry Potter if it is a live service game, tweet at Warner Bros. In the meantime, let me know what your favourite movie snacks are, and most importantly, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.
The Ministry ought to loosen the reins on the dark arts.